Now, last week, Chase, we talked about how Rivian was sweeping just awards and just running up awards all over the place. Even though they were contenders as a finalist for the North American Truck of the Year, which is a big deal. They didn't win it. It's the one award they did not win. And I'm proud to say, actually, that a vehicle that I not only drove, but actually reviewed, did win. And that was the all-new Ford Maverick pickup truck, hybrid. And I got to tell you, out of everything that I've driven in recent years, this truck was a home run. I had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with it last September down outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, the truck was dead on. And Ford says it gets 42 miles a gallon. I'm here to report, even though your mileage may vary, I got 42.
Yeah, because we'll get comments, people, what it tells you you're getting on your thing that reports it.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually mean it's what you're getting,
Well, actually, it does. And at 80 miles an hour, by the way.
I'll say the Ford Maverick is one of the, when we posted a few videos on our Instagram, 3 or 4, and they got a lot of views. Definitely one of the more hotly debated vehicles on there.
Well, I think people want to argue that because Ford took a whole different approach. It's defaulted as a front-wheel drive, and typically pickup trucks are rear-wheel drive. A front-wheel drive pickup truck? Really? So I understand the concern. And then the issue of a hybrid. Now, because of the take rate, and for those of you that don't understand the term, when an automaker develops a vehicle, they develop the different trim levels, the different engine packages, and they have to estimate because they've got a whole supply chain that they have to provide for, that they have to report. For example, if you're building a vehicle with 3 trim levels and a couple of different engine and transmission choices, the marketing department has to sit down and look at, okay, for this vehicle, for this production, we think that there's going to be 5% of what we build is going to go this way, 20% that way, a big chunk, 50% go that way. The challenge is that very often the actual sales numbers are different from what they project.
That makes sense.
The problem with that is when you're building vehicles and you're looking at 2, 3, 4, 500 different vendors and 15,000 different parts that go into making a vehicle, you just can't flip a switch and say, you know what? We said we were going to build 10,000. We need 35,000 now. It doesn't work that way. There's ramp up time. There's raw materials, equipment, machinery, scheduling, staffing, training. And you're not just doing it in one plant. That ripples through everything. Like if you had different seats, which they do between the Ford XL, which is the base model, the Ford LT, which is the mid model, and the Lariat, which is the top model. Each of them have different seating. Well, supposing if you thought, you maybe sell 25% hybrid, 50% of the XLT, and the rest in the Lariat. But what if suddenly 50% of the orders coming in now are for your base model XL hybrid? Well, that's a problem because now you're looking at thousands more units that you need, but you've already told the supply chain, and the supply chain's already geared up to deliver X amount at the lower amount. You might be able to squeeze some of it, but you're not going to get big time. And another issue, and it's hard to predict from product to product. If you're in a supplier plant and you took this contract to maximize what you did, because you're going to optimize your machinery, you're going to optimize your staff, you're going to optimize your investment. So, all right, I can take this additional contract with the 35% capacity I still have in my plan. But now the Ford Motor Company comes back to me and says, because our hybrid's taken off, I need to double that. Well, that's a problem, Ford. One, I can't do that because either I don't have the plant space, the machinery, or the people, or all of the above, and it's going to take me time to do that. And it's not 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We're talking 6, 8 months, and that's hauling, that's moving, that's being able to get everything together and then still make that happen, to ramp it up. And a lot of people don't understand that. Right now, what we're seeing in the industry, and particularly with the Maverick, because I also follow some of the Facebook sites that are Ford Maverick owners, about when they order as opposed to when they're scheduled to get it, or if it's even scheduled. And the challenge is because they nailed it on the low end, a hybrid pickup truck for less than 20 grand, brand new.
See, that's the other complaint we're getting is no one's finding those for 20.
You know why?
What you're talking about.
Because the take rate's higher. So therefore, they're sold out. So they're going to push you into a more expensive truck. Either they're going to push you in an XLT if you can still get a hybrid, or they're going to push you into the gasoline truck because that's where the capacity is.
What is your response to the concerns about the front wheel drive?
I've driven the truck. It's a non-starter. I mean, we're not hauling.
Saying non-starter makes it sound like you don't like it. Or
No. When I say
it's a non-issue,
it's a non-issue. I mean, we're not hauling 5 and 6 tons of anything. We're looking at between 1,500 pounds and 4,000 pounds. And I think with the gasoline, just the gasoline versions, I think are up at around 4,000 pounds towing, which is 2 tons for a truck that is slightly smaller than the Ranger. I mean, this is not an F-150. I mean, people are expecting these little trucks to do outsized things that you would not expect a Toyota Tacoma to do, but they're expecting this Ford to do. It wasn't built for that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to haul something and you got to haul a weight, you're either going to buy a Ranger or you're going to buy an F-150. Let's just be honest here. And the fact that the Ford Motor Company actually aimed this truck, believe it or not, at people of color and urban folks that need more than a car, need something else besides an SUV. This truck fits the bill. Cost is low to run. They thought about people with active lifestyles, and they engineered a lot of cool stuff in it to make that happen. They made this very do-it-yourself friendly. So if you want to modify the truck, they've actually built things in the truck to help you do that, to do your own thing, to take your own spin on it. And I think that's where Ford is really going. They did that with the Bronco, which, by the way, won the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. And I have yet to drive a Bronco. I've driven a Bronco Sport, but not the Bronco. Yet. Maybe someday I'll get a chance to, if you're listening, Ford Motor Company. But to get back to this, my beef is that people's concerns, while valid, are not realistic. I mean, if you've got something everybody wants, this is not like making donuts. Donuts you can make more in minutes. In the supply chain, in the auto industry, and that is even before we talk about the chip shortage, the supply chain snafus, getting people to run the plants, and COVID. That's on top of all this stuff. Even if that wasn't going on, you were still going to have a delay because it takes time just to get the dies to stamp the metal, to get hard dies to stamp the metal. If you're going to build a vehicle of 100,000 units or more a year, it takes 1 year. 1 year. To make them. No shortcuts.
That's the
1
color?
year.
The color?
No, sir. That's when you talk about the die, it's the stamping die. It's what actually forms the metal.
Okay.
No. These ain't about color. This is the actual where
you're forming the vehicle.
Forming the vehicle. The side rails, the floor pan, the fenders, the hood, all of that takes 15-ton stamping machines. Well, the business end of those stamping machines is the stamping die. And it's made out of a very hard metal, and it is a very technical and a very craftsman piece of equipment. You don't get that in a hurry, and not everybody can make them, and it takes time. I remember about 20 years ago, GM broke one at their plant in Fairfax, Kansas, for a front fender. It took them months before they could get back into production.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, because that tooling is called, it's called tooling. And this tooling has to be made, particularly when you're looking at volumes through an assembly plant. Every plant has a maximum number that no matter what you do to squeeze out everything, that is the maximum you can get through that assembly process. And when you hit those numbers, so sad, too bad, sorry. I just can't build anymore unless I build a new plant, and that's 2 to 3 years if I make that commitment, and the whole industry can change in that time. So I'm real reluctant to do that. And that is part of the challenge. It's going to be product restricted at least for 2 to 3 years. But I can tell you, if you want a Ford Maverick hybrid, it's worth the wait.